what if I told you that this is actually made from crochet? And what if I also told you that this is beginner friendly? If you're interested, then you want to stick around so I can show you how to create this beautiful and elegant brioche stitch. Hello everyone and welcome to Amparo Wonderland. Today I am going to be teaching you how to create this beautiful stitch that is called a brioche stitch. If you have seen a previous video of mine, which actually went viral, I showed you how to create a different type of brioche stitch, which has more like a leafy texture to it and more curves. So I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to tell you what materials we're going to be using for this stitch. Here we have our materials. We have our sharp pair of scissors, not dull ones, our crochet hook. I am using a 4.25mm hook, our darning needle, our best friends, the stitch markers, and of course, last but not least, our yarn. I will be using an acrylic worsted weight yarn. This is the color Peacock from I Love This Yarn. You're welcome to use any color yarn you want, any type of yarn you want. This is just for me to show you how to create the stitch. You are also welcome to use any size hook. The bigger the hook, the easier it is to create these stitches because they can get a little bit on the intricate side, but I promise you they are still beginner friendly. And as for our darning needle, we are not going to be weaving in any ends. Darning needle is needed for tight spaces in particular spots for some reason. You will see what I mean when we get there. So let's stop talking and let's get yarning. Alright, before we start, I want to give you a little bit of explanation of what this stitch is all about. So this crochet stitch is called a brioche stitch, and the brioche stitch is made simply with 2 rows that repeat over and over again until you receive the size or you get to the size that you are looking for your pattern. And as promised, I am going to show you how to make this stitch. So to begin, we're going to start with our slip knot. If you do not know how to create a slip knot, I do have a short for you up there, and it'll show you step by step on how to create a slip knot. Now, for this pattern, we are going to need to use a multiple of 3, and that is for our foundation chain. So I'm going to start off by doing 21 stitches in total, or 21 chains for this foundation chain. So to create a chain, I have 3 here. What you're going to do is that you're going to yarn over, and then you're going to pull through that loop that is on the back of your hook, and you've got yourself a chain. So I've got 4 so far, 5, 6, and 7. I'll show you one more time. You yarn over, and then you pull that loop that you yarned over through the back loop on your hook there, and that's 8. So I decided to do 18 chains instead of the 21. When you're creating your foundation chain, you want to make sure that you don't make it too tight because you are going to be working into the back loops only for every single row. Back loop only, for those who don't know, each stitch has a back loop and a front loop. So we have our back loop here and our front loop here. As we go along, I will show you again what the front loop and the back loop looks like for the other types of stitches that we will be creating. And believe it or not, we are only going to be using 2 different stitches for this 2-row stitch, brioche stitch. Alright, now what I'm going to do is that I am going to actually chain 1 more. Okay, so technically it's kind of a multiple of 3 plus 1. Okay, but that chain that I just created right there is considered a turning chain. So we're going to go and skip that chain there and work into the second chain from our hook. So you're going to go into the stitch and we're going to create a slip stitch. So you're going to yarn over and pull up a loop. You have 2 loops on your hook there. That front loop that you just pulled up, you're going to pull it through the back loop there, like that. that's a slip stitch. So if you want to mark it up as this being your first stitch, you can go ahead and use your best friend to mark up that first stitch. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that 2 more times. So go into the next stitch here, and don't forget, it's just the back loop. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop, and then that loop that you just pulled up is going to go through the back loop like that. That's your second one. Create one more slip stitch like that. Perfect. So now we're going to chain 1. You already know how to create a chain, which is perfect. And then return our work. We are now going to be working into our slip stitches that we just created. But like I said before, we are only using the back loop only. So that means that we are going to be working, as you can see, if you marked it up, you know that this is your slip stitch here. So that means this is the other slip stitch and this is the other one. We have our front loop here. As you can see, this is our front loop of the slip stitch, and this is the back loop of our slip stitch. So we're going into that back loop right there to create the next stitch. And for the next stitch, so we did our turning chain there, that doesn't count as a stitch. So we're working into the next one, which is our slip stitch. And we're doing what is called a yarn over slip stitch. So we're going to yarn over first, and then we're gonna go into our back loop here of our slip stitch, like that. We're going to yarn over again and pull up a loop. Now at this point you should have 3 loops on your hook, and this is the part that is a little teensy bit difficult. It's not to the extreme, it's still considered beginner friendly. What we're going to do is that we're going to grab this loop that we just pulled up, and you're going to pull it through these back 2 loops. And it's a little difficult because of the center loop here. It can get in the way sometimes, so you'll have to maneuver it with your fingers. What helps me is that I stretch the stitches up like this, the loops up, and then I pull my loop through like that. Okay, so that's the first stitch of that yarn over slip stitch. We're going to do that 2 more times. So you're going to yarn over. We have our slip stitch here. Again, we're working in the back loop only right here. Okay, so this is the front loop. This is the back loop. That's where we're going right there. So you yarn over and go through that slip stitch, and we're going to yarn over and pull up that loop, and that loop is going to go slip through these back 2 loops. So remember, stretch it up a little bit and pull your loop through those 2 stitches, or those 2 loops, I'm sorry. We're going to do that 1 more time into that stitch. I'm going to remove this marker so it can get out of the way. And we're going to yarn over and go into the back loop only, like that. Going to yarn over and pull up a loop. Okay, so stretch it up a little bit and then pull that loop through the 2 back loops there. So this is what you've got so far. All right, so we did our slip stitches and then our yarn over slip stitch. Now we're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn our work again. What we're going to do now is we're going back to creating slip stitches. So those are the 2 stitches that we are using. We are doing the slip stitch and the yarn over slip stitch. Okay, so now we are doing a slip stitch for this one, and we're going to create 6 slip stitches in total. Let's go into the next stitch here. So we're skipping that chain because that is considered our turning chain, and we're going to go into our back loop only. So go into the back loop, going to yarn over and pull up a loop, and that loop goes through that back loop on your hook. We're going to go and do that again and create a second slip stitch in the back loop only. Do another one, a third one, and as you can see, we are kind of in a pickle here. This is kind of like a bridge section here. We're going to join our rows together with this bottom foundation of the chains that we created. And that's how you get this little pinching section here. When you join with the bottom row, it creates that design of the branch there, right? So to join that bridge, what we're going to do is that we're going to go into this little bridge here, this little hump, and this hump is actually our turning chain. So we're going to go into that turning chain, and also we got to go into this piece here. So the way the chain is worked is that you have a little line that go down when you're doing your chain, your turning chain. So that is what this is. So it's the outer part of that chain, if that makes sense. I'll show you what it looks like when we create the next chain. So we go into that little hump first, which is our chain, and that piece there that's right below it, slash next to it, diagonal to it, whatever it looks like to you. Okay, so we're doing that to join our rows together. So you go into the chain. This is a little difficult sometimes, and that's why it's good to not create your stitches too tight, because then you'll have a difficult time. So I went into my little bridge there, my little hump, and now we're gonna go into that side piece right there that is right under or right next to it, which is also part of the chain. What I like to do is that I use my hook there, so I turn it a little bit to kind of help me find that opening, like so. And now we're gonna go into our next stitch of the chain down below that we have not worked into yet, and we're going to create a slip stitch. So like I said, we're creating 6 slip stitches. That was a tongue tie. 6 slip stitches in total. So you pull up that loop, and that loop is gonna go through this whole thing. So through the bridge and the little hump, along with the back loop that is on your hook already. So you just pull all the way through and go as slow as you need to, because sometimes depending on what type of yarn you're using, your threads can come undone. So that is stitch number 4. We need 2 more slip stitches. So we got 1 and last one, 2. So we've got 6 slip stitches in total there. And now what we're going to do is that we're going to create a chain 1 and a turning. But before we turn, I want to show you. So as you can see, this is our chain here, right? So our chain has that main part, which is the stitch of it, the chain of it. And then we have this back piece here, which is the piece that we're going through when we're joining our piece. Okay, so I'm giving you the anatomy of the stitches too. Okay, so that way you know what you're doing. So let's go ahead and turn our work here. And we're gonna start working backwards again. And we're doing the yarn over slip stitches. And the yarn over slip stitches that we're gonna be doing for this one is 6 in total. So we're skipping our chain here. We're going to yarn over and go into the back loop only, like so. We're going to yarn over, pull up a loop, and that loop is gonna go right through these back 2 loops. And as I said, this is the part that can get a little difficult the further you go into the stitch. And don't you worry about it, just take your time, and if you need to redo the stitch for whatever reason, if it's too tight and your hook is too big, then you just redo it. Okay? So as you can see, I did struggle a little bit there. I tend to struggle with those end stitches for some reason. And then we're gonna pull up and do that again, pull through those 2 back loops, yarn over, go into the back stitch here, yarn over and pull up a loop, and that back loop goes through those 2 loops in the back. And just continue all the way until you create 6 yarn over slip stitches in total. Now, if for any reason you get to a point where I'm at right now, where I'm having a hard time finding this last stitch here because it got buried into the yarn, that's where this darning needle comes in handy. So I like to go ahead and pick at that back loop of that last stitch So I will remove my hook here first because it's kind of in the way. And this is my stitch right here. So I'm gonna grab my darning needle, go through the back loop only, and I'm just gonna stretch it out a little bit just to loosen it up so that way it's easier for my hook to get in there. So there you go. That's a little trick that I like to do when it comes to this brioche stitch. So there we have it. We have finished that second part, and this is still row 1, by the way. Do not get confused when I'm using row 1, 2, 3. So this is like the third part that we just finished. So what we're going to do is that we're going to work back again, and we're going to chain 1 first to create that chain 1 turn, or that turning chain. And now we're going to create 9 slip stitches in total. So from here on, we're going to repeat that pattern of doing 9 slip stitches, and then you chain 1 and turn and do a yarn over slip stitch 6 times. Okay, so I'll have that on the screen for you so that way you can have it down in your head or in your face or wherever. You can write it down if you want. So we're going to create 9 slip stitches in total in the back loop only, so don't forget that. That is very important, that you are only working in the back loops for this piece, because that is what gives you that texture material look for this beautiful brioche stitch. So I have come to the end of my piece here of the row, or of this section I should say. I did 6 slip stitches in total, and as you can see, we're back at this bridge section. My goodness, what are we to do? So now we're going to connect it. So as I said, don't forget, we're going to be working into that turning chain that we created at the end of our row here. So we're going to go into this little loop here. I'll show you with my darning needle first. So we're working into the chain here. It kind of blends in together. So we're going to work into the chain here, as you can see, and then we're going to work into this piece here, right below it, or right underneath it. Practically is right underneath it. Okay, so let's go and take care of that. So we're going to put your hook into the chain, and then as I said, I like to use the hook part of it, the little hook section, to kind of help guide the hook into that piece of it. And we're going to create 3 more slip stitches here into the next stitch. Oh, I didn't show you. I'm sorry. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So we have already worked into this slip stitch here, so we're working into the next one in the back loop only. We're going to yarn over and pull up that loop, and then that loop is just going to simply go through all of those pieces there that are on your hook already. Okay, as you can see, they do join when you create that little bridge connection, and we're going to do that 2 more times. So slip stitch, and this is my 9th slip stitch there. Perfect. So now we're just going to continue. Like I said, we're going to keep going back and forth. So we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And for this part, we are doing the yarn over slip stitch, and we're creating 6 yarn over slip stitches. So we're going to yarn over, go into the back loop only of the next stitch, avoiding the chain, don't forget. So it's the 2nd stitch from the hook, okay? Technically, that's what it is. Yarn over and go through those 2 loops. Yarn over, back loop only, go through those 2 loops. Okay, here we go. So as you can see, it's starting to have that little branch look that we have from our brioche stitch. And we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Okay, so continue creating that pattern of doing 9 slip stitches downward and connecting with that little chain hump with the side piece next to it or underneath it. If you get a little confused, do not worry, I do have a timestamp for you. So repeat that pattern that I have for you up above and repeat it all the way to the end of your foundation stitch, and then come back here so I can show you what we're going to do to finalize this first row. Alright, as you can see, I have made it to the end of my row here where I no longer have space to create the 9 slip stitches. So what we're going to do to finalize this row is that I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work, and I'm going to do 6 slip stitches instead of the 9 here. And we're doing again the same thing of doing the back loop only. So that's 1, 2. Perfect. So there we have it. Our stitches are made without the threads coming undone. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn our work. And we're going to do a yarn over slip stitch 3 times. And 3. Perfect. So this is kind of making that little section here at the bottom, right here. It's creating this little piece there. So we're going to chain 1 and turn our work, and now we're going to slip stitch 3. 1, 2, and 3. Perfect. And there we have it. We have finalized our row 1 of this brioche stitch. If you are following along and you're doing well so far, go ahead and give this a thumbs up if you are also enjoying this. So let's go ahead and create row 2 of our brioche stitch. Now, to do that, what we're going to do is that we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And we are literally doing basically the same exact thing for this row that we did for row 1. But to start off, we're doing a yarn over slip stitch 3. So yarn over slip stitch. Since we finished with the slip stitch the other way, we are going to do a yarn over slip stitch the other way. And this is 2 and 3. Perfect. So this is what it looks like. We have like 2 steps here now. Let's go ahead and chain 1 and turn our work. And we are going to do slip stitch again 3 times. As you can see, we have our turning chain there. So don't forget, we're working into the second stitch from the hook in the back loop only. So do 3 regular slip stitches this way. Perfect. Now we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. As you can see, we have the 2 steps there, 2 full steps. And now we're gonna go and join now. And to do that, we gotta create 6 yarn over slip stitches. So we're going to yarn over. We're going to skip that first stitch, which is our turning chain, and go into the next one, which is our regular slip stitch. And we're going to go into the back loop only. That's 1. Do it 3 times. 2. And our last one here. And 3. We need to do 6 in total, but we are at the bridge section, the joining section. So we're going to do what we have been doing already. And we're gonna go into the chain hump there along with the chain leg. And then we're gonna go again at the bottom here. It's the other turning chain. So we're going into the chain again and into that bottom leg next to it. And then we're gonna go and work into the slip stitch of the previous row in the back loop only. Okay, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through all of those loops that are there. Okay, so let's go ahead and take care of that. Good thing it's only slip stitches, right? So we're going to yarn over and go into that stitch, and then we go into the leg. Now we're going to the bottom piece here. We have the next chain here. Go into the chain and that leg right underneath it. Perfect. And now we're going to finalize this stitch, this slip stitch, by going, or the yarn over slip stitch, by going into the next stitch. As you can see, is this one right there. We're doing the back loop only right there. Perfect. We're going to yarn over, pull up that loop first, and this is what it should look like. Okay, so we have kind of like 2 X's here and then our 2 loops back here. So this loop that you have in the front is going to go right through all of those back here. Okay, so go as slow as you need to, and if for any reason you get caught, just take it easy. Go back if you have to, remove it if you have to, and just redo it. Don't you worry about it. Okay, so it should look a little like this because we are joining our little rows that we created in this. Maybe I should call them sub rows. Those sub rows to create the final row. Alright, so now that we created that 1 yarn over slip stitch, we need to do that 2 more times. We go into the bottom here. This, I struggle with it too, so don't you worry about it if you're struggling with it. And then 1 more time here to create our 6th yarn over slip stitch. Perfect. So there you go. We have our little join here, right there, that part where we did that bridge join. And now we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Since we did our yarn over slip stitches, we gotta create a slip stitch now. We're doing 6 slip stitch in total in this section here. So 1, there we go. Okay, so we're having those branches coming together, that form of the branches. We're going to chain 1 and turn our work, and now we reverse back to yarn over slip stitches, and we're going to repeat this pattern all the way across. Now from here on out we are doing yarn over slip stitch 9 times, chain 1 and turn, and then slip stitches 6 times. Okay, so I will show you how to do the yarn over slip stitch 9 times. First, yarn over, don't forget, skip your turning chain and go into the next one in the back loop only. You yarn over and pull up that loop. That loop is going right through those 2 back loops. Okay, yarn over and do that again, the second one. Six. Perfect. Okay, so now we have that bridge gap situation again. We have 2 bridges beneath our row that we're working on, and we are doing the yarn over slip stitch. So we're going to yarn over, go through that chain 1 turn that you did plus the leg underneath, and then we're down here 1 more time through the chain and the leg itself. Okay, so yarn over, go through that chain. Don't be afraid to use whatever you can to get through this section here. So that's 1 bridge. We're going to make our 2nd bridge here with the leg. Perfect. And now we're going to join into our next slip stitch that is down here right there in the back loop only. So you yarn over, and I'm going to pull up my loop so you can see what it looks like. So we have like 2 X's here and then 2 loose back loops there, and we have our front loop here, which we are going to be pulling through back there. And again, take your time with this so you don't snag anything, because then it will be more difficult that way. Okay, so there we go. We have our join here of the bridges, and now we're going to continue that yarn over slip stitch 2 more times. Perfect. So now what we're going to do is that we're going to do slip stitches, but first we're going to chain 1 and turn our work, and we're going to create the 6 slip stitches. So back loop only, skip your turning chain and create 6 slip stitches. And 6. And then we chain 1 and we turn our work. Okay, so continue that pattern of doing yarn over slip stitch 9 times this way, and then you chain 1 and turn and slip stitch 6 times this way. And we're doing back loops only, and every time you get to a bridge you're always going to do that situation with the chain one turn, which is the bridge, and or the hump plus the leg underneath it, and you're doing that twice, okay, because we've got 2 steps here now. Okay, so go ahead and take care of that all the way across, and I'll show you what we're gonna do when we get to the end of this row to finalize the row. Okay, so here we are at the end of our row here, and this is where we're going to chain 1 and turn, and typically we would be doing the yarn over slip stitch 9 times, but we don't have enough. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna yarn over slip stitch 6 times instead. Okay, so now we're going to yarn over and not yarn over, chain 1, and then turn our work, and we're going to create 3 slip stitches. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1 and turn our work, and then we're going to yarn over slip stitch 3 times. Back loops only. 1, 2, and 3. Perfect. And that finalizes our row 2. Yay! Good job. All right. So now you have the pattern to create the brioche stitch. So we have row 1 and row 2, and we are going to repeat row 3. So let me show you how row 3 works, which is technically row 1. So we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. We're going to start by creating 3 slip stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. We're going to chain 1 and turn our work, and now we're going to yarn over slip stitch 3. So 1, 2, and 3, and then we chain 1 and turn our work. And this is where it's going to look a little teensy bit different, just because we did not have the 2 steps that we had in row 1. So in row 1 it was just 1 step, in this row it is 2 steps. That can get a little confusing, but don't you worry, it's still the same exact pattern that you were following previously. So that means that the next step that we're doing is that we're going to create 6 slip stitches. So let me show you how to do that. We're going to go into the back loop only, skip your chain 1 turn, your turning chain. I'm sorry, I keep messing up my English right now. So that's 1, 2, and then 3 in this last slip stitch. As you can see, we have our bridge here that we need to join together. So we're simply doing what we've been doing before. So we go into that bridge there, and then we do the leg right underneath it. You do that again in the next step because there are 2 steps here. So you go into the chain and make sure you grab every thread from the yarn like that, and then go into the leg as well. Perfect. And then we're gonna work into the next stitch here, and we're doing the slip stitch just like that. Okay, so just continue doing that slip stitch 6 times. So that's 2 more like that, and there you go. That's how it works. Okay, so now you can continue. Going to chain 1, turn our work, and we're going to do a yarn over slip stitch 6 times. There we go. And then we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And now you can do that pattern of slip stitching 9 and then chaining 1 and turn and yarn over slip stitch 6 times. And like I said, every time you get to a bridge like this, we're going to have 2 steps. So you just simply do what we've been doing. You go into the turning chain and the leg underneath it twice. So then a chain again and the leg underneath it, and then you work into the next stitch that is there, which is either a slip stitch or a yarn over stitch. So I'm gonna go ahead and create this row and then one more row, so that way I can show you how you can have that solid line at the end if you want to use this brioche stitch for a scarf or just any other project that needs a solid line at the bottom and the top of it. Okay, so go ahead and create your rows 3 and 4 and then follow along with me for the final row. Alright, so here we are. We have finished the last row, which in my case is row 4. And what you're going to do, let's say that, like I said, we want a straight edge. We're going to go ahead and chain 1 and turn our work. And you are simply just going to slip stitch all the way across your stitches. So, literally, you skip your turning chain like we have been. So you skip that first stitch from the hook, so you go into the second one and do the back loops only. So this whole crochet stitch is worked in the back loops only. So here we have 3 stitches, 3 slip stitches, and we get to our little bridge. So we're going to join like we have been joining. So we go into the little hump, and then you go into the leg that is right underneath it, and then you continue working into the next stitch. So you do a yarn over it and pull up a loop, and then you're gonna go through all of those loops that are on your hook. Okay, so that joins your piece with the slip stitch. So it's literally exactly what we have already been doing. So go ahead and continue and do the slip stitch all the way across. I do not know how many stitches in total you'll be having in this row or for all the other rows, to be honest, because I haven't been counting. But it is very easy, and when you get to the end, you are done. And here we have it. We have our straight edge of slip stitches, and what you do at the end is that you extend your loop a little bit to remove your hook, and then you fasten off with at least 5 to 6 inches or so, and then you just fasten off like this. You just pull it up and you are done. And there you have it. Now you know how to create this beautiful brioche stitch, which is definitely beginner friendly and definitely crochet. If you choose to use this stitch, what type of design will you be using it for? Let me know in the comment section down below. I am curious. And if you loved this video tutorial and this stitch, then you're definitely going to love this video right here. It has gone viral and you do not want to miss out on that. So, I will see you there, and if not, then I will see you in the next one. Bye!